I'll have,
Can I get your attention?
I gotta actually have.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Please remain standing and have a prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Oh God, we give thanks for this day. We give thanks for each day that you give us. We pray, Lord, that you will be with the employees of Gladwin County. We pray that you'll be with the school districts, be with voters as they go to the polls, and consider the important issues upon the ballots. We pray that you will be with Commissioner Carl and touch his body. We ask that you will be with each one here and the families represented. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Good morning, good evening. Glad to have everybody here.
When I go home, I'm going to sit the rest of the night.
Commissioner Walters. Commissioner Altman. Present. Commissioner Smith. Present. Commissioner Burgo.
Here. Approval of board minutes of April 8th, 2014.
I make the motion that we approve the minutes as printed.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Reading of cash balances.
In the 101 general fund, we have $22,496.67. In the 516 tax unallocated cash balance, we have $79,812.70, for a total of $102,309.37. And we advanced from the 216 E911 fund $400,000 to create those balances.
Thank you. We're going to have public comment, but we're asking that you keep it down to 3 minutes because we've got a lot of business and things we need to get done, and we want to stay here until 10 o'clock tonight. So, Mr. Dunn, were you here?
Yep, I am.
Would you like to talk for 3 minutes?
I can start out. Yes, thank you.
Can I ask that each of you announce your name and township when you come forward for me, so I can have it for the record? So I know yours. So.
Tom Dunn, Brock Township, and thank you very much for this time this evening. I had sent, I believe, to Amy and to all of you an open letter, and the reason I sent it out again was that we do have some new commissioners that have not really been appraised of the zoning situation and the lawsuits and so on that are happening here within the county at this point in time. And that particular letter that I sent out, it was kind of an overview, and especially for Sandra and Sharon, to kind of fill you in on the situation with zoning and how zoning is really the death of property rights within any community. And especially when we're looking at property being taken by the EPA, the government, the DENR, the DEQ, and the federal departments that are trying to place jurisdiction within our counties and within the entire state of Michigan without any due course to we the people. And we the people are the ones that have got to show not only the county and the township and the state, but we have to show and lead as the people. It doesn't start from the top and work down. And the information that I did send out is based on the lawsuit that had been commenced about a year or so ago at the Millers in reference to mud bogging, but mud bogging is not just mud bogging. it all falls into all kinds of property rights, whether you're having an anniversary party, whether you're having a gun shoot, it doesn't make any difference. It all boils down to the same thing. Improper enforcement in an area that jurisdiction doesn't stand. And in the documents that I sent you, I did send you a memorandum of understanding that the two new members probably haven't seen, but was sent out some time ago in reference to the lawsuit and the Millers. I know some people said they read it, some hadn't, but I think everybody's got a copy of it now where you know what we were talking about in this memorandum of understanding. It pretty much outlines everything that can be done. I also included in there a stipulation and order for dismissal that was sent to the county prosecutor, not Mr. Miller. And that could come directly from this board. They could make a determination on whether they wanted to cease and desist in this lawsuit that's happening as we speak today. And when we look at the additions of the way these lawsuits are being fashioned up and the information the disinformation, the information that I've included in here is truthful information. You can find it, it's in the statutes. And when you read the zoning ordinances, you have to read them. I don't know if you have read them or not, but it says, in a lot of cases, it says may. May does not mean shall. Shall is an absolute must. May means that you can do it or you can't do it, and it applies not only to the zoning commissions, but it also applies to those folks where zoning applies. In other words, you may apply for a permit of some sort. That may means you don't have to do that. And when you're looking at the public domain, you have to look at what public property is versus private property and where the state, county, townships have jurisdiction. And it's very, very clear in a lot of court cases where private patented property does not fall under the public domain. There is not a public interest or proprietary interest or a monetary interest in private property that anybody in this room can show or the county can show where property has, where the county has an interest in that property. In other words, where's the county signature on anything on private property? It's not there. And so that's why I sent this out. I'm open for any kind of questions. It was brought up in another situation that because taxation can be involved in an ordinance, if the county can tax, well then the county has absolute control or jurisdiction over a piece of property. But you have to really look at the statutes at large. You have to look at the taxing statutes of the state.
1 minute.
1 minute to go? Good. I was kind of watching up here, thank you. And we look at an ad valorem tax versus a direct tax. If you read your Constitution, Article 9, Section 5, it's very clear. And if you can understand what that says, then you would understand that private property within the public domain is non-existent. Right hand and left hand, you have public property and you have private property. And I would certainly hope that this commission would take a very, very hard stand on private property rights within this county. Are there any questions?
Thank you for your time, and we'll consider your information.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Some guests to State Representative Joel Johnson. 3 minutes.
Can I stand instead of sitting down?
Sure.
Good to see all of you. I really commend you for doing this in the evening. Obviously, it works for getting people here, so appreciate that. Just a couple things I wanted to bring up. One, career technical education, skilled trades for our kids, we're getting closer. We passed it in the House, my bill, along with Ed McBroom's, several months ago. We've been held up in the Senate, but I think we're getting close to getting somewhere with that. The governor, I think, is behind us. And so we hope within the next few months we're going to see something there. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is something that you've heard a bit about, and that's the Detroit bankruptcy. And there's a proposal out there that talks about receiving $350 million from foundations. These foundations want to keep the Detroit Institute of Arts where it is. And that's what they're basing their donations from. So $350 million from them. The governor has requested that we bring $350 million of state money, which would come from tobacco settlement money, along with that, and get probably another $100 million from other places, including unions. And the idea behind this would be to protect the pensions as much as possible for the employees of Detroit. My understanding is that there is a plan out there that would protect police and fire completely if that went through. It would say that the general population, folks who are under pensions with Detroit, would have a 4% cut, which I'm amazed. I never thought that they would bring them out that close to whole on that. But when that proposal was brought out several months ago, and I said, the thing I need to know is what is the Detroit Institute of Arts worth? Recently, it's been publicized that there are entities that are willing to pay over $1 billion, 1.2 in fact, for Detroit Institute of Arts. Now, it's a shame to sell the art that's there. It's a good draw. It's too bad, but in my opinion, Detroit hasn't handled their finances well. They have made agreements that they shouldn't have made, and in my opinion, they need to sell the art rather than us putting our taxpayer money into that.
Hear, hear.
The thing I said is, if my kid had saved up and got himself a Corvette, but got himself in financial trouble later on, came to me for the money, and I'd say, sell the Corvette. And this is the same thing. It's a great thing to have, but it's not a necessity. And I'm gathering from you that I'm headed on the right track with that. Okay. Well, thank you very much. That's the big thing that I wanted to talk to you about, because that's coming.
Use your whole 3 minutes.
Well, I know you got plenty. Yes.
I'll hit you on it every time I see you in public. School vouchers, are you guys making any progress or any discussion at all about school vouchers?
Very little discussion on it right now. I think that it will continue to be an issue that may come around.
I'm not entirely sure school of choice is an absolute. I'd like to see school vouchers.
And it's been, it's been working more and more to where people do have the choices. And one of the things that we're trying to do is trying to make sure that the kids do have good schools available, and that comes from a combination of public, private, charters, the whole works. But it's something that we haven't heard the end of for sure. There's going to be more. Well, thank you very much.
I'm trying to jump around a little bit, try to get some course. In case you want to leave, you can. If you got to another place, you got to go. Lieutenant Scurry, yours the manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just briefly, I want to recap what's gone on in the last week or so with regard to the flooding. April 12th through 14th, roughly, we had a major flooding event here across the state of Michigan. And I just wanted to commend the efforts of our new emergency manager, Mary Ann Hill. This girl got on a plane from Florida and flew back to Gladwin to assist with this event. She was in Florida to teach a FEMA class on behalf of the federal government, so she lost out on that $3,000 to come back to Gladwin to do her job. Her and I together drafted a local declaration, a local state of emergency. There's like 5 counties across the state that have done that. That's the first stepping stone, so to speak, to garner federal dollars, potential federal dollars back to this county. It's not a guarantee, but it is the first step. Without a local state of emergency, we're not in the ballgame for federal dollars. So we've got that first step. She and I also did damage assessment across the county. In the Radoff area, there was severe flooding, high water marks. The Army Corps of Engineers, she's meeting with them Wednesday so that they can mark some of the high water marks for future flooding studies. This new position, or this new person that we have here in Gladwin County, I just want to impress upon you how fortunate we are to have her. I cover 14 counties, and I've had 5 new emergency managers in 4 years, and she is by far the best. And you are lucky enough to have her. I want to remind folks, and I know everybody has budget issues, and people say, well, how can you hire a new person when you're laying off people? This is a mandated position. It's not like it'd be nice if we had an emergency manager. It's a mandated position by law, Act 390, Section 409. You shall, as board, appoint an emergency manager. And if you don't, then all the responsibility that comes with that position falls on the board chair. Another thing that people aren't really aware of that I'd really like to express to you again is the fact that this is a position where 38 to 39%, it depends per year, of federal dollars come back to the county based on this person's position, okay? So, stay with me for just a minute. Let's say she was paid $40,000 a year, which is more in line with what she's worth, and she's a full-time employee, okay? And by the way, she worked 56 hours last week. Let's say she was paid $40,000 a year, and 38 to 39% of that salary would be reimbursed by EMPG or the federal government. So roughly $15,600, okay? So that means the net amount that this county would be paying that person would be $24,400, which is less than what you're paying her now, plus this assistant director that you have in place. Which leads me to my next point, and that is that Gladwin County is the only county in Region 3, which is comprised of 14 counties, that pays an assistant director or a deputy director in emergency management. Usually it's a person who already works for the county and they just fill in as backfill when somebody's gone. But it's my personal opinion, and take it for what it's worth, that you need to just get out of this girl's way and let her do her thing. But she is really impressive. She knows what she's doing. I taught her the web EOC on the fly. She's got it. We entered damage assessment into the system together. That information was fed up to the state level. And there's several counties that have now requested a governor's declaration. So her and I will discuss that tomorrow as she returns back to work. If we want to go that next step, will get us that much closer to potential federal dollars. I just want to impress upon you how impressed I am with this individual and how important I think it is to keep her. Everything that she did for this county last week is great. It opens the doors for federal dollars to come back.
Would you like to address your letter that you took in, how much money she brought in already?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know it off the top of my head, but yeah, I felt compelled to write this letter to Mr. Walters, the board chair, reference Mary Ann Hill's efforts. Her and I attended a regional Homeland Security Planning Board on April 7th. We go to these board meetings every month, the first Monday of every month. In her very first board meeting, she made like 4 motions on behalf of Gladwin County to the tune of $31,000 worth of grant funding to come back to this county, okay? Had she not done that at that meeting, that money would have gone back to the federal government. So That coupled with the other pot of money, which is the EMPG that I mentioned previously, that 39% comes back, this girl is worth her weight in gold for this county. And I live in this county, so I have a vested interest. And also, if you've got somebody in this position who knows what they're doing, and I don't have to babysit them, it makes my job easier as well. So I thank you for your time. Do you have any questions?
We use Brad, just for a couple days, and that's gonna stop.
Okay. Any questions?
Beat me with a hand, so I'll go second.
I understand it's good that this woman could do for the county, but if she could do so much good for this county, why are you representing her and her not here representing herself?
Because she's a part-time employee and she put in 56 hours last week and she can't work full-time and get paid for part-time.
Would she be
But if
getting
she
paid to
wants
be here?
The job, then she should be here to represent herself, correct?
If that's your feeling, that's fine, but she asked me to be here on her behalf and I agreed. I'm not getting paid to be here either, but I think it was worthwhile.
How easy is it to find out what grants that you're accepting for the county? Because it's my understanding with grants, there's always strings attached. So if you're taking federal dollars, there's federal strings attached. And I think as a county, since you're representing us, we kind of want to know what strings you're attaching to us by going to get grant dollars.
Okay, there's two pots of money. There's EMPG money and then there's Homeland Security money. The EMPG money is the money that I talked about with the 39% of her salary that's reimbursed by the federal government. She has to fill out a quarterly report to say, I did this, and she has to turn that into me, and I turn it into the state. It's not free. It's not free. There are strings attached, so you have to show the work that you've done, okay? This county lost out on EMPG money because there was nobody doing the work for several weeks, okay? Once this girl got on board, she's done more work in 1 month, and Thursday will be 1 month that she's been here, than some of my emergency managers do in a quarter, okay? That's EMPG. Then there's Homeland Security money.
What is EMPG, please?
Emergency Management Program grant. It's a acronym for a grant. Then there's Homeland Security grant, which is another pot of federal money. And it used to be that the 14 counties would come to the trough like pigs and they'd fight over the money. Now they do it in a more equitable manner such that they base it on population and some other factors. So now Gladwin County gets a set amount of money rather than fighting for their projects. So she goes to the table at her first board meeting and says, we want tough books for the police cars, we want radios, whatever she came to the table wanting. And had she not done that, that money would have gone back to the federal government. Does that help you?
That tells me what we got. What did we agree to by getting that money? I mean, besides the position, that are we giving away any sovereign rights? Are we, as a county, are we taking something and giving it to the federal government just so we can get that money? Are we signing away any of our county rights to do that?
No.
Or is it just? Here's my point. I guess as a taxpayer, I see my money better staying in my county than going to a federal government or a county government or even a state government and then asking them, could you please give me my money back so I could do something with it?
Okay, the money doesn't go anywhere, it stays here. There's a local planning team that she's a part of, and people come to the table and say, hey, I think this would be a great project for Gladwin County. For example, computers in police cars, just one example of hundreds. Then everybody agrees that that's the project that they want to go to. Then she goes to the table at the board meeting on behalf of Gladwin County, on behalf of that project, gets the money, brings it back to the county in the form of that project, and then she's responsible for keeping track of that equipment because there will be an audit. You know, there are strings. There'll be an audit, and it's upon her to keep track of where that equipment is so that when the auditors come in, she can say, this is what we spent the money on, here's it in this vehicle, etc.
How does the money leave the county in the first place?
Pardon me?
If it's our money.
Pardon me?
If it's our money, the county's money, how does it leave the county in the first place?
It doesn't leave the county.
Well, she has to go ask for it. That's what he's asking.
yeah.
We have to go ask for that money to get it back. We have to go to the federal government and say we want some of our money back in form of a grant so we can buy computers for our police cars.
Well, you
Our
don't
point
have
is-
to avail yourself of this money if you don't want it. You know, you don't have to.
I don't want to
avail
give it to them in the first place.
yourself. Well, everybody pays taxes. I mean, you know.
Yes, and they keep asking for more. That's our point. Everybody pays taxes, and then when the tax dollars run out, they say, we need more money for taxes so we can give it back to you.
Well, this Homeland Security money, not the EMPG, but the Homeland Security, that money is dwindling. It used to be major league bucks, and now it's dwindling. The EMPG is pretty steady. That money's still gonna come in, the part that pays part of the salary of the emergency manager. But
Well, where's that money come from though?
the
For
federal
that,
government,
Where's the federal government giving that money?
The Federal Reserve.
Out of our pockets.
We gotta move on, we can't take it here all night. Dave Petterfish from the Road Commission. How you doing? Just want to introduce yourself and kind of bring us up to date, what's taking place.
My name is Dave Fetters. I'm the new managing director of the road. And Terry came to our meeting a couple weeks ago, asked me to come and introduce myself and talk about a couple issues. Why don't we start off with the ORV?
That sounds good.
Easier too. At our last meeting, we opened up county roads to ORVs, with the exception of 2 roads in North End, which is Joy Road, north of Meredith Grade, and
Chapel Dam.
north of and the local townships will have a say if they choose to close some roads. Let us know. There'll be a time period before we update the maps, if any roads get added to the closed list. We'll also ask the sheriff's office if there's any that they prefer to have closed at this time. The road commission's view is that they are open.
Anything else? Road spending or anything that's?
Sure. We touched on the drain commission issue that we had with our culverts. And it's an issue that we're working on solving right now. The Beaverton Road crossing, as I'm sure everyone has seen, that is closed and being worked on. We just started today. We obtained a culvert from Tuscola County. We were lucky to get that culvert because it would have been 8 weeks to have one made. But, it is our position that the drains were cleaned right up to the culverts and below the existing culvert, and it caused the erosion that caused that culvert to settle. We've got several more out there that we are watching. This is not the only property, the only one out there. So, in dealings with the Drain Commission's office, they are going to cost share. They are going to pay for the labor. We are paying for the culvert, but it's still an issue that we need to work on at the county level. Yes, sir.
So the money, even though you guys are splitting the cost, falls on our citizens again, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what department is paying the cost, you guys are sharing that cost out of your pocket. Just so everybody, you're pulling it from 2 different pots, but it's all being funneled in from your wallets, just so you guys know that.
Yes. That is the unfortunate case, and it falls back to us to get the road back open.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any, in my business, you have to have a product and a performance liability insurance. Doesn't the original contractor have any type of a performance insurance on that?
The original
Liability
contractor
fall
of the
on
culvert?
original installer?
Of the culvert?
Yes.
The culvert's been there for 40 years and performed, as far as we know, flawlessly for 39 of those 40 years up until the drains were cleaned.
But the deep ditch going to it is what it's on, right?
Right.
Which wasn't there 40 years ago.
Correct.
The road commissioner, you know, there's a lot of people that throw their garbage out in the ditches and it's just deal with, but I've been going up and down my road picking up garbage and tires. What do I do with the tires? Can't leave and burn them.
Sure.
You want me to ring them up for the road commission and throw them in the parking lot for you?
I hope we find better standards than that, but
them up on my road, I know some townships, you can fill up tires, 2 loads of garbage.
I would have to look into that for it. I don't know if our recycling program handles tires.
If you bring those tires in August, the city has a plan that they'll take 4 tires per resident.
I picked up 4 on my road the other day, and I was on top of the pile that I picked up last year. What do you live? On a long road?
Thank you.
Someone have questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to know how they determine which roads are open and which roads are closed to the ORVs. I mean, how do these 2 roads get added to being closed?
There was, prior to us going to the road commission meeting, there were 3 townships that had put in for openings. Billington had put in for 1, Secord had put in for 1, and also Butman had put in for 1. But the road commission decided to open those roads up with cooperation with the township.
But didn't you just say that they were closed? The Joy Road and Chuckadam were closed to ORV?
Closed to RV because they don't want people going into the refuge. The further they keep them away, the better.
Just north of Meredith Grade, not the entire road, just the sections north of Meredith Grade.
Isn't that where the entrance to the ORV trails are though?
No.
That's a dog,
The field trail area?
field trail, there. That's not for
That's all closed to motor vehicles. Can I answer your question? Is there any corrections or additions to the consent agenda?
Motion to
Support.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Finance, go back to finance.
Okay. Cindy Tefner from the 911 department has requested the payout of 100, excuse me, hours of unused PTO time per union contract. This is a total payment of $1,668 to be paid from the 101-422-704 fund. Upon approval, I'll make that motion that we authorize that transfer.
The support, motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
2 employees in the clerk's office would like to donate 34 hours each, 68 total, to an employee in the probate court office who's going through medical treatments. The transfer has been approved by the court administrator and is allowable under the current policy. I'll make the motion to permit the transfer of the 68 hours.
Support.
Motion supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
We have to authorize Christy Van Teen to borrow up to $1.5 million. She has made the arrangements with the bank. The interest rate on the loan would be between 0.5% and 0.9%. And I'll make the motion that we authorize, I want to add one thing. There is a $14,000 loan origination fee that will be charged, but the interest rate is 0.5% to 0.9. I'll make the motion that we authorize Christie to borrow up to $1.5 million as needed.
I will support that.
Motion is supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Now, that's a resolution.
That's a resolution.
Roll call.
That's a roll call.
Commissioner Carl's been excused. Commissioner Walters?
Yes.
Commissioner Altman?
Yes.
Commissioner Smith?
Yes.
Commissioner Burgo?
Yes. And that's all I've got on the finance agenda.
Okay. I think everybody went down to all the meetings that took place. Christie, Sheila, you want to see the land bank, or you just, we'll work on that later? Anything in the land bank?
What did you want me to discuss, just what the meeting was?
You can if you want to.
Just about $1.3 million.
We had a brief planning meeting to discuss, of the building that the land is required for the tax foreclosure. And, we're taking it out as we speak and hopefully gonna be able to sell it.
What building is that?
It's the, I know it's the house, it's the old Canvas building.
Okay.
Some of the roofs,
Here, and the roof is flat, yes, and there were grant opportunities with that, having the building, cleaned up.
communications with the city.
Yep, with the city and with, Mission Works and the local government, officials, the state grant funding office. We have several grants that we're trying to put together. Interested in the building. Okay.
Old business, new business, wanna go around the committee reports? Am I missing something? Pardon?
We have to do data.
Okay, go ahead.
We had a data committee meeting on, on the 16th. And at that meeting, Gina, there are other issues that we took care of, I'll address afterwards, but Gina, and you are here, correct?
Yep.
Thank you. Has interest in a company purchasing our GIS information that they want to take, tweak, and resell to other entities. Okay. Because our policy clearly states that it cannot be resold, it cannot be altered, it cannot be tweaked. We have in front of us a policy that they would have to sign and a pricing guide. And so what this pricing guide would do, we can do it one of two ways, where it's, where they get and have to pay for an annual update. And that means that they will always, it's gonna be a recurrence. The first fee is one time, correct?
It's a one-time fee with a mandatory update.
Yes. And
Right
the
now, we've had it where it wasn't mandatory, they could just get an update if they wanted.
Yeah.
But then the data's getting old very quickly, where we thought if we had mandatory updates, then they're gonna always have the best of our information. It's always gonna help that our information that's accurate is getting into the MapQuest, the TomToms, the Garmins, and whatnot. If they're gonna do it, we might as well make sure they have the accurate information. to get
So
it.
the first fee, the large fee, is a one-time fee, and it's countywide, but then a mandatory update every year that they would be asked to make. And so, I will make the motion that we adapt this pricing guide with the change that there is a $15,000 one-time countywide charge with $37.50 as an annual update. And that will allow for redistribution rights of the altered data.
Support.
Motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Yes.
Can you guys explain to people here who might not have heard what the GIS is, what you're selling?
GIS stands for Geographic Information Systems. It's a system that the county has. We have compiled several different layers, like aerial imagery, roads, parcel data, sections. You put it all together in this fancy software, and then you can analyze it and do all kinds of things with it. And then there's different companies out there that would request that data, which is protected by our enhanced access policy, so it's not a FOIA-able type of information. So the people that would request that information would then be using it in their day-to-day business operations, i.e. making money off what they do, which is why we came up with our system to charge.
So they must pay for the information.
Right, because it also costs us money to compile that data and maintain that data. We also have it protected by our policy, so that if someone wants it, they're gonna pay for it as well.
What is the personal information that is gonna be given away with it?
It's not, personal information that is protected. It would be your parcel shape file with a parcel number with it. the owner's name, the roads names, the section numbers, township outlines and boundaries, that kind of information.
You may currently go on the Gladwin County website and check out the GIS mapping that is on there.
Yes, there is a map viewer and there is a land records portal. It is a fee-based system for the land records portal, so if you go to the map viewer and you click on more details, it's gonna want your money. But that's where all the information that is, pertaining to the property, to keep people from just being nosy, there's a fee system to it. That's used mostly by realtors and banks and whatnot. But the map viewer itself is got a lot of free tools on there that anybody is more than welcome to go and use. There's also a millage calculator on there. So with the millages that we have coming, it's automatically linked to your property's taxable value. If you click on that millage calculator and enter the millage rate, it will automatically tell you what your millage increase would be.
On the map viewer,
Yes.
people, parcel owners' names and coordinates are not displayed in the research.
The parcel number with the owner name is displayed, yes.
Which really isn't any different than what it used to be with the plat books that you used to go and buy.
That's kind of,
Now you don't
that's
have
like
to
a,
do it.
digital platform. And then we also need to, adopt our, we
Policy.
did the revised pricing guide,
Yeah.
but the data usage agreement that we did, we've changed it, so I would like to adopt this one as the GIS data usage sharing agreement with redistribution rights, so that we have two.
And
Thank
I
you.
will make that motion. You also have a copy of that on your desk.
Support.
Yes, sir.
Just a motion, for the support,
Yeah.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Also, Gina, you want to talk about Gypsy Moth just briefly while you're here?
Sure. It's been a very harsh winter, but unfortunately, there was also a lot of snow that kind of was like a nice little blanket for the gypsy moth. So I do not think we're going to get any winter kill. Still monitoring populations and watching. As soon as hatch comes here soon, then we'll be doing treatments. Treating about 1,000 acres within 3 different townships. If you are in a treatment area, you would have received a notification letter by mail. I also sent them to the townships, so the maps are available at township halls. I'm also in my office most mornings, tend to do field work in the afternoon, so if you need to get a hold of me, feel free to stop by or give me a call.
Mr. Evans, did you want to say anything? Bob?
Bob Evans.
You
Come
wanna
on
say
in, Bob.
anything? You want to bring us up on FEMA maybe a little bit?
Oh, okay. We've submitted some new electronic data to FEMA, which wasn't AutoCAD drawings, but it was some other electronic data that Lee could make for him. And he made that, submitted it, but I haven't heard anything back that they've received it. They've had it for a month now. I think Doug Jacobson had talked to Ken, evidently, he doesn't come back, he doesn't talk to me, I guess. So, and said that they had received it, we'd sent it to Stantec. So, hopefully that's all they need, and they'll move ahead with it. In the meantime, we've been working on, Hay Township is the only problem that we've had so far, because they're the only ones that have any maps. And so we're working on trying to take FEMA's basic flood elevation and the VFE and put it on our maps for Hay Township, because it's a pretty major job if we try to do it for the whole county. And then that way we could say, okay, here's the map, here's where the house is, here's where your floodplain is. And that would get some of the people out. We wouldn't get as many out as our study will get out, but it would get a lot of them out.
We're applying FEMA's flood graduating levels to some of our maps? But then, okay.
We were looking at doing that for Hay Township. Hay Township has a lot of people who've been forced to buy flood insurance.
But didn't we pay for a flyover so that we could do our own map? I thought we had done that already.
Yes, we have that, and we've submitted it to them, but they haven't accepted it yet. So what I thought we'd do in the meantime, because we've been a year now that these people have had to buy flood insurance again in Hay Township. And I said we might be able to put their floodplain map on our drawings that show the homes. And then that'll take a lot of the people out, because right now, if you look at their flood map, I've never measured the line, but what are they? Their line's probably 100 feet wide, would you guess?
Yeah, and their original floodplain shapefiles are on our web map. You just have to turn them on.
Yeah.
So if they went to the website and on the right, there's a tab that says layers or information, I forget what it's called, but if you clicked on that, open it a drop-down box, there would be a lot of the different GIS layers that you could turn on and off. And FEMA's original floodplain shapefiles that they gave us, we put on there. So if you turn those on and then zoomed in with the imagery, you could see. The problem is it's still their outdated shapefiles and not the good ones. If we had the good ones, we could put in there, like he's saying, they could zoom in on that map and print off that map and show where that floodplain is. And
Did we miss our deadline date to get it turned in time to get them to accept it? I mean, I'm just, because we did that flyover, what, 2 years ago?
So where the map is.
Working kind of slow.
So now, with this FEMA thing, you know,
I think he had his hand up first, but I don't know, you recognize him or?
I was just questioning, I know the township's contracted with Boyce to have these maps done.
Yep.
Prior to the contracts, didn't we know the data that was gonna be required, and why are we stalling in getting the data the way FEMA would require it, so these can be done in a timely fashion?
Well, there's two reasons, if you want my opinion why we shouldn't give it to them. If there's a discrepancy, the National Academy of Science will appoint a committee to view their data and view our data and figure out which one is the most accurate. We have a computer HEC-RAS model along with all the drawings that we made, and so we'd go into that committee meeting with a stack of information like this. They'd go into that meeting with one sheet of paper that they took a crayon and drew a line on, basically. So, in my opinion, which study is the Academy of Science going to accept? They accept ours. But if we give them our information, then they'll take it and do their own, how can I say this politely, half-butt study, and then they'll go in with maybe a study this high, and ours is like this, and the Academy might say, well, this is a little better, but this is acceptable. And so that's why I wouldn't want to give it to them. Secondly, we don't own that information. That information belongs to Boyce Hydro. We bought a study from Boyce Hydro, the same way that they did Jerome and Edenville and the village of Sanford. That's what we bought. That's what we contracted for. So that's all we could request. So, and that was acceptable to FEMA. And now FEMA is saying, well, they want this extra information. And if FEMA had paid for this information to do it to start with, in fact, Lee had told them that he may be interested in giving it to them if they reimbursed the townships the $120,000 they spent. So they're trying to get the information for free and trying to make their study from it. We have an acceptable study. We have a study that far exceeds anything they've done. Probably exceeds anything that was done in Edenville and Jerome and the village of Sanford even. But, so, that's my opinion, but it's not my information to give to them. It's Boyce's information. Boyce has fulfilled their contract to us. Has given us.
FEMA is the one that's changed the.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know.
And we think we've given them something now that should be acceptable to them. I think what it boils down to is they want to be able to put this on their drawings electronically. Well, the information we had before was a lot more than just that. And so now, foresight was come up with a way to just give them enough information to put it on their drawings, and we're hoping that's gonna satisfy. Oh,
So now you got FEMA trying to play these games. I'm late to this little thing about FEMA. Again, like that first gentleman that was talking about the government coming in doing things that aren't constitutional. Here we have FEMA telling us how we're gonna operate our lake. Here we have FERC coming in telling us how we're gonna operate our dams. When are we gonna say no? What is it that FEMA's got that we want?
If FEMA puts you in a floodplain, your mortgager can force you to buy flood
I have a
insurance.
contract that says I don't need it.
You have a contract with who?
With my bank.
I guess they could probably change that anytime
Well,
they
they
want
did
to.
for GM too, I guess they can. So when's this county gonna say, get out, enough?
That's right.
You know, when are we gonna stand up and say no?
I think we kinda did. You came late to the game, so FEMA had 6,250 parcels in the floodplain.
No, zero, none,
Yeah.
go away.
Well, except you wanna belong to their program. You wanna
Why?
belong to the NFIP, which is the National Flood Insurance Program. Because if you live in one of those flood zones.
You can
like-
buy it off TV.
Did what?
You can buy flood insurance from a TV commercial.
Well, you can, but you pay a lot of money. It's subsidized in the NFIP, so those people on Randolph Drive probably want to buy flood insurance.
Okay, but now we have FERC coming in telling us about the dams. We have,
Who's telling you about the dams?
FERC, FER,
Right,
Federal
yeah,
Energy.
FERC is required, which by the way, I was telling everybody it's a 10,000 year storm. It's a PMF, possible maximum flood. It's actually closer to a 1,000,000 year storm that
Okay,
they're required.
and then we have EPA coming in telling us we can't have fireplaces and wood stoves. When are we gonna say no?
Then we're gonna move along.
Well, how about it? When are we gonna say no?
That's what
When we
you
get a
vote for
county
your
with
state
a back
representative, your county.
And you guys.
Senior legislature.
Moving on.
He left himself off the list there.
Well, why are the people we vote, why aren't they representing us to the law instead of represent?
Okay, listen, I'm trying to get things through this and move forward, so. Sharon, would you give us your report, please?
On the 9th of April, I attended the Beaverton Area Business Association meeting with County Clerk Laura Brandon Mabel. We gave a presentation on the need for the Headley Restoration Rollback. On the 10th, I attended a land bank meeting. On the 10th, I also attended the Hay Township meeting. They've appointed their potential election workers. On the 11th, I attended the legislative breakfast. Mike Hargrave from the airport reported that there will be drag races held there on May 17th and an air show on July 12th and 13th. And the Chamber of Commerce announced the annual golf outing will be May 16th. On the 14th, I attended the Tobacco Township meeting, the passing of Jim Andrus, a longtime board trustee. And fire board member was announced. Members there, and I see the gentleman is there in the white sweater. Stand up, please. Members there, thank you, asked that the Board of Commissioners write to our senators and congressmen urging them to monitor Boyce Hydro to be sure that Boyce has the money to repair the dams if the water is released for repairs. This is a major concern to everyone who lives on Wixom Lake. On the 15th, I attended a library board meeting. The Friends of the Library will be holding their book sale May 15th, 16th, 17th. We had a detailed report on the progress of the Beaverton Activity Center. There are currently 18,412 card-carrying patrons of the Gladwin County District Library. In March, 4,709 patrons used the library, and 2,203 patrons used the computers. A total of 11,616 materials were placed in circulation, and thank you because those are your tax dollars at work. On the 16th, I attended the data committee meeting. Dan Eggleston, president of IT Right, was in attendance. He gave a thorough explanation of how all IT problems are to begin. I made that whole. Thank you. That's my report.
Okay, I was at the IT Right meeting, of course, with Sharon, attended the Gladwin County Sports Complex meeting, the Clement Township Board meeting, the Airport Board meeting, the Butman Township Board meeting, the Beaverton Township Board meeting, the Fair Board meeting, and the Michigan Housing Commission meeting. And I didn't, the dates are in my appointment book if you need them, Madam Clerk. But we covered, I answered questions from each board and made presentations accordingly. And, but I forgot Central Michigan Department of Health also. And I want to publicly thank Joel Johnson. I'm on the Finance and Personnel Committee of the Central Michigan District Health Department, and we got $285,000 from them for 2011 Medicaid reimbursement. But I mentioned it to Joel last month at the Republican Party meeting. He talked to someone in Lansing. We got they paid us the 2012 $300,000 that they owed us. They still owe us for 2013. And here's the significance of that to you and all of us in the room. They have not paid. I haven't paid our $22,250 rent payment for our building over here for the last quarter. And in other words, they've been the Central Michigan Health Department is in a pinch on money as well. So I need rules tomorrow, and hope that our $2,000 is in the chest to be signed. So that's where we are on that part. But Joel pushed the buttons and did get us that other money. So thank you, Joel.
You're welcome.
All of my township board meetings and listen to what they are all working on at the present time. Laura also was there with me at, I think, all 5 of them, except for Bentley. So 4 of them, she was there with me, and we addressed the Headley issues, answered questions, and brought everybody up to date on that. On the 9th, I attended the EDC meeting in Beaverton, where they discussed many things of interest in the production of the full-length movie here in Gladwin County, incoming businesses, and setup of the Wi-Fi in the city of Gladwin here. There also will be a ceremony for the a graduation ceremony for the leadership program coming up. I spoke at the Beaverton Youth Recreation Program on the rollback issue on the 16th. On the 21st, I attended the MAC meeting in Grayling. That was the first one of those that I attended, and that was quite a meeting. And they discussed so many things that I just gave you all a copy of the flyer that they passed out, because there's a lot of legislative issues there. There's no Michigan Works meeting this month, so I just gave you also a flyer, the newsletter from that. So that's my report.
Myself, the 27th, spent all night with Central Dispatch and the dam operators and emergency management, talking to Marianne, Florida, lieutenant from the state police, which should set up a EOC and an emergency management operations center in Midland. We were talking back and forth with them, so there wasn't too much sleep the 27th. 29th, attended the fire hall, the ribbon cutting, which was very nice building. April 2nd, again with FEMA meeting with the lieutenant. April 7th, finance and addressing committee. Also Gladwin City, talked about insurance with our insurance carrier. Attended the Grout Township, stuck in with Mr. Bergel. And, went to the Frozen Fair. The city, I met with them and talked to that about how they're funding that and how it's working out at the ice arena, the hockey, the programs out there. Also, next local council of government is Monday here in the Commissioner Room, 28th at 7 p.m. Everybody's got a card. Also, some of the veterans that we've lost over the last couple months. Alan L. McNall from Sage Township, World War II. William Furclow, Tobacco Township, Korea. Harold Clymer, Grubb Township, World War II. Walter Weimer, Billings Township, World War II. Gordon J. Hoffman, Billings Township, World War II. John Kelly, Sage Township, Korea. Renaud Hugh Franklin, Butman Township, Vietnam. And that's all I have. Any board comments?
I have two. First of all, on the 12th of May at 6 p.m. in this room, there will be a severe weather spotter free training, and our emergency person, director, is the one that's going to be doing that. So if you would like to be part of that, here's, you can register, and I'll just leave this flyer right here in my desk. There's more of them, you may take those. And I asked the chair, and he said this is okay. There will be a spaghetti dinner on May 2nd at the Knights of Columbus Hall, and all of the money goes to the Jeannie Mercer Cancer Fund. Jeannie and her husband own the Peppermill Restaurant. She's the best pie maker you're ever going to get. She learned it well from her mother because her mother's back now baking pies. But I really hope that you could participate in this and put this on your calendar. There's going to be, she was diagnosed with stage 3 ovarian cancer, and she has had surgery, and it has her port implanted and is going to be starting chemo. And this is, I like to see a community come together.
Thank you. We'll open up for a couple comments. Any, like I say, 3 minutes if you have any comments.
A little bit background on FEMA, then I'm going to put in a plug for Boyce Hydro. But Lee Muller came to the commissioners and myself 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and told us what FEMA was doing. He said they did this in Midland County, now they have Gladwin County in their sights. So we put together and tried to get together and finally got together with the supervisors, and the supervisors stepped up to the plate and put up the money to do the study. Now in that, now I'll move into the comment that Sharon had made about when they talked about, someone had asked if Boyce Hydro had the money to do the required modifications to the dam. People, you need to understand those aren't improvements. They don't help anything. They'll help you if you have the million-year flood, but all that does is floods Midland, obviously. And the dam doesn't fail, but we're not gonna have that million-year flood anyway. But as to whether they have the money or not, they don't. And Lee Muller has been right up front with everybody on that. They don't have the money to do it. They tried to get the money financing to finance it, but they can't do it. But I think a lot of this is put on some misinformation about the Sanford Dam. The Sanford Dam had a leak in the dam. It's an earthen dam, and water is leaking through the dam. Now, civil engineering is my background, so I'll tell you right up front, if you have water coming through a dam, it's an emergency, through an earthen dam. You have no idea how big the hole is in the dam until it lets go. So Voice Hydro went to FERC and told them they had to repair it. They went to the DEQ to get their permit. The permit told them that it was going to be 180 days, I think, to get the permit. They said, we don't have 180 days. So they went back to FERC and said, hey, DEQ tells us we can't do it for 180 days till we get the permit. FERC says, look at the first word in their title, Michigan Department of, and look at the first word in ours, Federal Energy Regulator. So he had to go, he went ahead and did it. The DEQ ended up fining him $1,800, I think. So he made the repairs to the dam. They had the money to do that. Then FERC says, or not FERC, the DEQ says, oh, while the water level's down, because they had to lower the water level in order to do that, while the water level's down, we want you to make these modifications to the drainage system in the dam. And they said, we don't have the money to do it. And so that's when things came up. Well, there was a group of Dow executives. They got together. Lee explained what was going on. They said, we will finance this. We will loan you the money to repair the dam or put these modifications in that the DEQ wants. And if you have the water level back to normal level next spring, we'll forgive the note. So people are saying that he lowered the water level and then held the people on the lake up to ransom, and that isn't the case. These people volunteered to loan him the money and actually paid for it out of their own pockets. So I think there were like 5 people. And I've gotten to know Lee Muller pretty closely and became a good friend through this FEMA project. And he's probably saved the people of Gladwin County at least $6 million per year for the rest of their lives. And those rates are going to go up because FEMA has become, FEMA is supposed to be self-sustaining. So everybody that has flood insurance, hold on, because your rates are going to be going up 25–30% for the next few years. And so if you live in the flood zone, good luck. But, so just thought I'd toss that out because there's a lot of misinformation going around. So.
Thanks, Tom. Anyone have any comments? Night meetings, you like them?
Yeah. How come none of you guys were replying?
Because we made the motion and passed it.
Yeah, I know.
Any other comments?
Motion.
I've got a favor from the back of town. I'm not too short. It's not an issue we're all really familiar with. And it's the county zoning. You know, there's questions that arise of how did you get this plan? Who wrote it? Who gets to choose the rules over our private property? Who has jurisdiction and authority? It seems like any research we do always leads back to this board. You know, the previous board we had communication with, and we had very little knowledge. We don't really have authority. And once the lawsuit starts, now we really can't even speak about where we all sit and stand on personal private property. There's nothing that can be done with that zoning ordinance without approval of this board, according to the county zoning ordinance itself. You are our elected representatives. you like the people of this community. I love living in a free country. The United States of America, under a constitution, we should never forget that, a compact among states, that enumerated the power of government, they tried to limit it, and they enumerated and limitlessly the rest of the rules back to the people. I've always been under the impression, since I've been paying attention, that governments derive their just powers from the consent of the governed, and that would be us, the people. There should be discussion on this zoning ordinance. We are a sovereign county. You guys are elected because we're a sovereign county. This zoning ordinance should have leeway to match our demographics. I'm not sure that the wording of it reflects rural Gladwin County as a community. It does represent a blanket of a region, and it's easy to adopt that, but it needs to be revisited. Here's something I read in here that was concerning to me when it comes to personal private property out of the zoning ordinance. And it's talking about the zoning administrator's duties. And this is not to pick on Justin, this is if anybody was that position. The zoning administrator shall be empowered to make inspections of buildings or premises to carry out enforcement of this ordinance. Now that is the direct result of applying for a zoning change or alteration. It is a result of complying with the county ordinance and accepting the county that it has jurisdiction over private domain property. Let's read it again. The zoning administrator shall be empowered, to make inspections of buildings and premises, that be our land, to carry out enforcement of this ordinance. And what am I getting at? By asking for this variance, by asking for special use, which this planning commission has been adamant that's what they require to avoid the lawsuit, you are submitting authority over your property to an appointed property sheriff. If that makes any sense. Giving him or her authority even where Mike Shea himself has none. That's alarming, but that's in that ordinance. Now, we could be like Obama saying that, well, sure, the NDAA can indefinitely detain United States citizens, but we would never do that. It's that, right?
Just saying.
Whether folks agree with my bargaining or not, the premise that this zoning board and county commission are setting, with the help of the county attorney and only God himself knows who else, is dovetailing into any and all activity defined and yet to be defined as criminal until reviewed and classified. There's a statutory overreach that cannot continue. The level of jurisdiction this and other counties are claiming over private property is heinous. There needs to be discussion on this zoning ordinance. As far as we can tell, the master plan expired in 2012. Shouldn't be applicable unless it's renewed. Just consider, whether you like mud or not, this dovetails into shooting ranges, dirt bike tracks, any activity that someone might come to our community, say from Oakland County, they like dirt bikes and cars and won't build a trail. Nope, we have to regulate that. And now we have a county property sheriff that needs access to that property to make sure that you're complying with the demographics of the rural community of Gladwin County. Please think about what's going on. This is going on a long time, over a year now. It needs to stop. It's ridiculous. We don't have the money. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
My name is Scott Carroll of Buckeye Township. I'm an avid mud bogger. I support the Miller family and anybody else who wants to have fun on their own property. Or have friends come over and have fun. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Do you want me to come up or?
Just state your name.
My name is Ryan Lagrimo. I come from Midland County, up here to support the Miller family. Despite anything else that you guys might have discussed in the past, dealing with the Miller incident, or not incident, but the Miller situation, would really like you guys to consider one thing. Many people travel a long distance to come to these events. Many people spend a lot of money in your community. On the average of a small little admission fee that they might charge to get into their event, for every dollar that they raise, it's anywhere from $5 to $10 that are spent in your community. The gentleman before me said it's a very rural county. not overly laden with businesses. And I know the little businesses here, party stores, gas stations, stuff like that, need those sales. Stop and consider that one little thing also when you make your decisions and how you proceed with this situation. Thank you very much.
Can you state your name again? You said it really quick.
Ryan is the first name and the last name spelled L-U-G-H-E-R-M-O, and from Midland County.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anybody else?
As I break this up into two sections where I get more than 3 minutes, I just want to mention for everybody's information, this was the 100-year storm that we just had last week. They were passing 34,000 cubic feet per second at Edenville Dam, and that's a 100-year storm. So if you didn't flood in that storm, you should be out of the flood zone.
I make a motion that we receive and file.
Support?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, Terry, did you close the public comments?
I say thank you very much. It's nice. As I was the person who made the motion that we have at least have a night meeting, thank you very much for coming. I do appreciate it.
I just wondered if you closed the public comments, because I think there's a few more that wanted to talk.
Gentlemen, Owens, Gladwin Township, mud dog guy. I just want to say thanks, last year's been very informal between me, you know, everybody here. Now we get to see a night meeting, get to see a lot of faces. I think it's awesome. We get to see how our county's working. Obviously, we do have some disagreements on things. And as Mr. Faber said, we got to revisit some stuff here. Obviously, we're sitting in a bad way financially. It's not just the county, it's us individually, it's me just much as the next person, right, just same as you. We need to move forward. It's been a year. I said I was gonna turn the volume off, well, here we are. We're not just a bunch of names, we're not just a bunch of people, we do have faces. I really love the fact that I didn't lose a couple hours worth of work today to come here. And just for the record, just throw it out there, I will be on the November ballot for District 1 County Commissioner. I just really hope over the last year and a couple of you here for just a couple months now, I hope you guys can look downside, make some changes before we come to November. There's a lot of people stepping up to run this year. A lot of people threw their hats in the ring. People are waking up, we're paying attention. Obviously, look around. This is amazing. We're starting to talk. We got dialogue. Now I think we need to go somewhere with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. One more.
Excuse
Excuse
me.
me.
Thank you.
My name is Kim Hall, Buckeye Township, and as a mud bogger, as a property owner, I've been trying to keep close tabs on what's going on because it affects everyone's property rights. And all I can ask is that the board look into the information that Tom Dunn and Tab Faber have given you guys, and why this is still continuing on and nothing being resolved. It's all in black and white. It's been printed out and given to you, and I just would like it resolved in a constitutional way.
Amen. Just to close out real quick, because I know you guys want to go because it's late, and I want to go because it's late. But as a taxpayer and a property owner in this community, and I'm lucky enough to own 2 properties and pay taxes in both cities, you're both welcome. I want you guys to be good stewards with the money you have. And you're taking a loan out for $1.5 million, and I think I heard a number of $14,000 that was paid to generate that loan. And I don't know if you've gamed out what your interest payments are going to be, whether it's 0.5 or 0.9% interest. But as a taxpayer, that's money that's not going to go into an employee's pocket because you're paying interest now. So you're going to either have to make more cuts to pay your interest. I'm just guessing here because I take loans out, I own a business. Or you raise our taxes to pay your interest so you can keep the employees you have. I don't know what cuts you've made and what's been reinstated since you've made cuts and reinstated positions. So I don't know if our budget's less or more or equal to as it was before you started asking for taxes. I do know that I was in possession of an email from Laura Brandon probably 2 years ago when she sent a message to the old board that said, we've made all the cuts we can make. The only resolution to this is a Headley rollback. We decided one voting cycle ago to go and make it a safety millage. That didn't fly. So now we're going to go to the original language from the email that I got from Laura that said we need a Headley rollback to get our money. And I'm going to say a Headley override. And I'm going to say as a taxpayer, I don't want to give you more money until you're responsible with the money that you do have. That's what I'm looking for from my leaders. That's what I want to elect, people that lead and not follow. If we look at our millage language and compare it to all the communities around us, whether it be for a school or for you guys, the language is almost identical. I'm looking for a county that starts to lead and not follow.
One of the things I would just like to respond to that, if you look at cuts, there's 2 desks missing here. It started here.
It did start here. You guys...
And I will tell you, having had a year off from when I was on the board when there were 7, and now that I'm on the board where there are 5, I am very impressed with the amount of work that I have to do. Willingly, because I said I would do this. But I will tell you, check it out. Right here is where your cut started, and it has happened to every department in this courthouse. But really, if we're going under the proper constitutional order, since we have adjourned, we're done.
Really?
Excellent. Let's go.
We're done.
We're done.
I have to go home to a sick baby. Aww, my grandbaby.